Well, hello there. Welcome back to another episode of the Fit Female Society podcast. It's going to be an extra awesome episode today. The theme is advice for moms, and I have a wonderful, special guest who is a beautiful, hardworking woman, someone that I hold to my heart so close and dearly. I welcome you, my bad bitch best friend, Kendra.
Well, hello. Hello, my beautiful best friend.
I'm so happy to have you here. Are you excited to be here today?
Bitch, I'm nervous.
I know. I can totally tell. It's been a minute since we've done a podcast together. The last time y'all saw us was when we did the Worth the Wait, and this was like almost 2 years ago. Am I right, Solomon? About 2 years ago?
Correct.
It's been quite some time. So I'm super proud of you for being here. I know it could be a little nerve-wracking, but you got this. Like, just focus on us, on the education we're going to provide to the women out there, the moms mainly. You know what? This goes for all women. Anyone who is a mom, who wants to potentially be a mom, and just learn from our experiences and apply it to how it works for your life. So tell us, Kendra, first. How many kids do you have? When did you first become a mom? The age of your children? And then we'll go from there.
So I am currently,
Of course, you're currently a mom.
I'm a mom of two. I am 27 years old. My oldest he's going to be turning 8 next month.
Mhm.
And I had him 18 turning 19. My second one, she is going to be 6 this month. And I had her 20 turning 21. So yeah, those are my precious little babies.
I
Right
know.
there.
I love that their birthdays are so close together because you
They're
get to celebrate it in 1 month.
actually, bitch, because we tend to spoil them a lot. So they're exactly 1 week apart.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll celebrate my daughter's birthday 1st,
Mhm.
and then we will celebrate my son's birthday, and then we celebrate them together.
I love
Following
that.
weekend.
They extra spoiled those
I
kids.
promise myself that we will only do this like up until the age of 10.
Yeah.
'Cause they're babies. Well, anyways, but once they get older, yeah, we need to chill and only one birthday party because that's too much.
Yep. And then it costs more as they get older too. I'm like, I feel
Yeah.
like children are expensive when they're babies. When they're kids, like I want to say toddlers up until about like 8, 9 years old, even 10, they're not that expensive because you buy them whatever the heck you want.
Yeah.
You take them wherever. But once they turn like, like their little preteen years, they start to develop their own character. I want to wear this. I want to go over here. And I'm like, damn, you're getting pricey.
Exactly. Like they're more into like technology and stuff, and it's so expensive. I mean, children alone, they're very expensive. Like when you really, because one has to invest in their child,
Right.
into skill sports or anything that can make them gain new skills, anything to like further development. So when you look at it from that aspect, like then you're talking about like programs that you can put them into, and they're not cheap. They're pretty pricey.
They sure
So
are.
damn, just kids are expensive in general.
Girl, I agree. Trust me, I'd be thinking about that. I remember when I first had my daughter. So I only have one. She is now 18. She's 14, gonna be 15 this year in September. Oh my gosh. I'm like, she is growing up. I had my daughter when I was 13, going into 14, super freaking young. So I was a baby having a baby. And I feel like that is one of the big life milestones that happened to me that made me become the person that I am today and just become super mature because having to deal with that at a young age, even at your age, is definitely a lot to take and a lot to learn at the same time while you're like still growing through your hormones and in high school and all of that good stuff. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm super excited that you're here today and we're going to talk about this stuff. You did mention sports, extra activities. So what would you say is a good way to incorporate, how we're all about health and wellness,
Yes.
and our children see that, and incorporating health and wellness into their lifestyle is a good thing that adds to their personal development and skills, as you mentioned. Like we got to do what we got to do to help these kids become like the best version of themselves.
Exactly.
So what is something that you'd recommend or you do with your kids that emphasizes on fitness and instills that practice in them?
Well, we are their number one role models.
That's true.
And I'm sure you know where I'm going with this. We need to set the example first so that they can see And, by them seeing us, they'll be like, "Oh, okay, so it's something that we should be doing too." Or
Mhm.
at least they'll make it easier for you to kind of like start getting them involved into that, because you can be like, "You know
Right.
what? Mommy does this. I do this because it has so many benefits. It makes my heart strong. It makes my
Yep.
heart happy." Like mine are children. They're very young. So I go about it in that sense. And then that makes it easier for me to start getting them like interested in sports, because I can be like, "Oh my gosh, like it's like how mommy works out and makes
Mhm.
her heart happy. Now you're making your heart happy."
Right.
How do you go about it with, your daughter, since she is a little bit older than mine?
Before I tap into that, I love what you said, and I see it firsthand how your kids really do follow you, dude. I've seen when you post it on Instagram many times, and even in, I get to see the most beautiful moments in person.
Yeah.
And you'll be working out, and your children will literally ask if they can go on the treadmill because I know you
Yes.
have like your home environment set up for success for you. So throwing that out there, I absolutely love that. Kendra, she does go to the gym, but her primary source of keeping her health and wellness up is doing practices at home.
Mhm.
So you have like your home environment set up with all the equipment you need. So that gives your children easy access to do things like I've seen them pick up a kettlebell and do a squat. And
Yeah.
they even get so confident and motivated seeing you. Like I've seen Mateo be like, have like,
Yeah.
he be acting super strong and he is strong, but he'll get stronger like as he starts developing in the fitness realm and all of that stuff. Now,
Exactly.
with me, for Brianna, at first, honestly, it was a force. When they're little, I feel like they do follow us a lot, but as we're coming from you having more littler ones where I have this little young adult.
Mhm.
I forced her. I forced her to do a lot of things, and I feel like as
We
parents,
got
we
to.
need to. Yeah, we
Yeah.
have to force them because sometimes we think, "Oh, we got to be their friend," and that's cool. But then there comes like a fine line of being a friend and then being a parent and
Exactly.
knowing like, "You know what? I'm your parent. I know that I have to teach you to be responsible and all of those things whether you like me or not."
Yeah.
Cuz sometimes they're not going to like us even though we know that we're doing things that are for their benefit. So I would drag her to the gym with me. I had her commit to going to the gym once a week. She dreaded it. She did not like it. She absolutely hated it. But I'm like, you know what? This is something new for her. She's stepping out of her comfort zone. She's feeling insecure because it's the gym environment. She's not really in that environment and she doesn't really know what she's doing. But then she has me to teach her. She was also at the time like one of the only kids in there, like, you would see
Mhm.
mainly adults. So I think all of those things threw her off. But I'm like, you know what? She just has to continue to come, show up for herself, show up with me, and I'm going to teach her. So when I'd go with her, it'd be a beautiful bonding moment because I'm like, we're working
Mhm.
out. She's learning something new. She'll have like her own little set of headphones. And that's how it started off with going to the gym once a week.
Yeah.
That has now stopped because of me instilling that consistency and having her show up. She was like, "Mom, I want to do my own workouts at home." So
Nice.
it showed her, like, you know what? She's taking initiative to figure out what works for her because, as you know, there are so many different ways to get involved with physical activity. There's people that do yoga, Pilates, cycling, stick to just cardio and like running, weightlifting, and body weight workouts. There's just so many different forms of getting involved into a physical and healthy lifestyle that she enjoyed watching YouTube videos at
Mhm.
home and working out like by herself. She'll be like, "Mom, like I'm gonna work out, like give me my space type of thing."
Yeah.
And that's what made her like now find her passion towards fitness without feeling forced by mom.
Exactly. And I mean, in addition to what you had mentioned about Brie,
Oh, you're good.
are you sure, bitch?
Yeah.
In addition to what you said about Brie, dreading it the first week, I mean, it is what it is. You are providing her with something that will make her better down the road.
Right.
Like by you doing that, you're giving her a huge advantage. Not only that, but I was gonna also say that there's a lot of adults that actually fear the gym because
Hmm.
they don't know what to expect, and
Well, we
everything is
experienced that fear when we
exactly.
started
We
together.
experienced that too. She's not gonna have that. And on top of that, I mean, she does feel like she has a better experience, I'm assuming, at home,
Hmm.
like, doing it from the comfort of her home, which is fine because I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And as you said, there is many forms of physical activity, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Like, you don't just because you see a lot of people weightlifting or because you see a lot of
Hmm.
people running or the yoga, it's whatever fits your lifestyle and what you actually enjoy doing. So there is no wrong thing to do as long as you're enjoying it. At the end of the
Right.
day, that is truly what matters, and that is what you are gonna, continue to develop on.
I love that you mentioned enjoyment because that's what my daughter would tell me. She's like, "Hey, mom, like, I don't want to go to the gym with you anymore because I found a different routine that will work for
Exactly.
me at home." And then I'm like, "Okay, that's fine." At first, I ain't gonna lie, I was like a little hurt. I was like, like I want to go to the gym with her. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it, because it helped me step out of my typical gym routine. We enjoy it. Gym is all about a same routine. You want to keep it consistent for a good like 4 to 8 weeks to develop on the exercises, and you have to keep it boring because if you switch up all the time, you're not
Oh,
going to
yeah.
build upon those muscles and strength and mobility. So I really enjoyed breaking out of my normal routine to work out with her. So I got a little sad by that, but I'm like, you know what? It's very nice to see her taking initiative and finding like her own passion and enjoyment. So I'm glad you said
Exactly.
that because if you're doing something that you don't enjoy, it's going to feel like another task instead of doing something that you're getting involved in and being like, I'm doing this for some sort of fulfillment for myself, whether it's mental clarity, the gym could be a therapy session, overall, just like happiness and feeling strong. So, or another source of happiness by saying, you know what, I'm showing up to the gym. It's getting me one step closer to making better choices, such as like nutrition, wellness, and just achieving your overall like mental, physical goals.
Exactly. I agree with you with everything that you said, bitch.
Now, nutrition with your little ones. I have seen an amazing job how I think once you incorporate nutrition, like healthy nutrition at a very young age, it's easier for them to grasp because,
Yes.
as you know, the first 5 years of a child's life is the most impactful because they're little sponges. So, whatever it is you teach them, like they're going to absorb that shit. So, how do you incorporate healthy eating and balancing fast food, the McDonald's, the
Mm.
cookies, all of that good stuff with your children?
So before, I feel like now it's a little bit easier because my son is autistic.
Yep.
So of course, like eliminating, I myself eat pretty healthy. So if I eat healthy, the house eats healthy because
Mhm.
no sugars. I mean, no cookies, no chips, nothing like that is allowed at the house.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes we do have it, but it's not like a thing that we constantly get. Oh, soda is a huge no. We for
Yeah,
sure do
that's
not
a
do
big no
soda.
for me too.
Yeah, so for sure no soda. But as for like chips, cookies, okay, sure, like once in a while. But I feel like it's super easier. Well, not super easy, but now it's easier because of his diagnosis,
Yep.
because he can't really have sugars. But before that, um, I would just tell them, the importance of the macronutrients. So they know their macros. They can
Yep.
give you examples of what macros are. So they know the importance of, what fats, proteins, carbs can provide to you. So that makes it kind of easy, not gonna lie. But
Yep.
I do tell them like, oh, the protein is very good for XX reason.
Mhm.
Or, sometimes they need the fat in the egg. Like, oh, they know that they need to prioritize this type of stuff before they're allowed, later on the weekend to have like, a McDonald's combo or whatever.
And what do you call it? A little treat meal, right?
A
Not a
little
cheat
treat.
meal.
For sure. A little treat because it's well deserved. Like
Right.
they eat pretty good. So yes, it's okay for them to indulge once in a while. I'm not saying life is gonna be good and happy all the time. They're gonna have to struggle and they're gonna hate me sometimes.
Yep.
But at least they know that I'll come through with their little treat meal at the end of it.
Right,
That's
and they
how it.
have that balance, so that's a
Yes.
good thing.
Yes. They're definitely for sure balance. They're not we don't have them restricted or anything. I understand they're children. So
Mhm.
um right now they're gonna have it easy, but once they get older, I'm planning on like cutting all that out once they're little teens, but right now they're children, so they get to enjoy it. Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be easier once they get older because you're already incorporating those values now. So it's not
Mhm.
like they don't know what time it is. You're already teaching them little by little, and I see how they really grasp and understand that. And I
Yeah.
remember one time when you did ask Aaliyah, like, what are macronutrients? Like, what are the three categories? And you posted a video about this, and she said it, and I was like, oh my god, this little freaking 6-year-old, like, she like knows this stuff, and it's really good for her. And I know it's gonna be an easy transition as they get older,
Mhm.
and I love that you have the balance. One of my favorite moments is I know they love Buffalo Wild Wings just like Brianna does. So our
Oh,
kids really love Buffalo Wild Wings.
yes.
And tell us about they ask you for Buffalo Wild Wings and what's the alternative? Share with the crowd.
Good thing I completely forgot about that. So for sure, healthy swaps.
Yeah.
Um,
What does a healthy swap mean?
for example, the healthy Buffalo Wild Wings.
Mhm.
So my kids love Buffalo Wild Wings, but of course it's not the best. So we have this thing which is like the healthy Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yep.
So it's crunched up cereal, the cornflakes one with like without the sugar.
Mhm.
And then it's egg whites, almond flour, and chicken breast, of course. And we just pop them in the air fryer, and it's like super healthy for everybody. So we can all eat that, and they're like super happy and they love that. Another thing that I'll swap is like the French toast. So like whole grain bread, and then just for more lean protein, we'll like dip it in like egg white
I was about
and
to
like the
ask if you
cooking
use
spray, and then agave because it's better, or honey.
Yep.
So it's just like healthy swaps. So things like that, try to get them used to like chia pudding when they're like younger. Like the foods
Mhm.
that they would like make us think face to like once they're older. It is best to start like try giving them these stuff like as they're growing up because it's easier for them. And it's like they're more accepting to things like that. So how do you do it with your daughter?
Okay. Once again, it's like all by force with her because when she was younger, I wasn't practicing those healthy habits that you've practiced for a longer period than I have. And since your children are younger, like you started with them like way back then. With her, I feel like it's a practice that I've developed within the last 3 to 4 years, but more so crucially with the nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
I meal prep now every weekend for a 7-day period. It's pushing it, but if I see mold in that food, girl, or it does not smell good, I am throwing it out. The max I've ever had food from like a meal prep is 10 days. I'm not gonna lie, and I
But that's good, no?
it is until it isn't. So I opened up my meal prep container and I was like, what the heck? Like this rice is white jasmine rice. Like, why the heck does it have yellow in it? And I
Yeah.
looked it up. And I was like, okay, this doesn't seem right. At first, I thought it was a chipotle sauce that I added on it
Oh,
because,
bitch.
yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, it's like this is like a form of mold, but I didn't know that mold would come in a yellow form because I've never seen moldy rice. Well, clearly that was the time where I'm like, all right, it's good until it isn't. So
Huh.
when I opened that up, the rice in the middle it started to get yellow versus it being completely white. I'm like, that ain't right. So back to the way I incorporate nutrition with her is meal prepping. And the big one that you said earlier is what you bring into the household. I
Mhm.
ain't gonna lie. There is we have a snack cabinet. A section and a snack. Don't look at me like that. I'm keeping it real. We have a snack cabinet, and most of it, I'm not gonna lie, it's for her. I'll get her like Lay's chips, little pack of Chip Ahoy cookies, and then I'll have other. So one side is like little junk, the other side is like healthier options like granola bars,
Okay.
um, like instant oatmeal packets, peanuts, and other sources of like healthy snacks. Clearly, she's gonna go for those. So what I do is limit the quantity. So instead of buying like super big bags, I'll buy like smaller bags. Soda. I absolutely cut out soda when we were first starting our journey
Mhm.
and we'd go hiking together. Remember, I cut out alcohol, fast food, and soda. So now I feel like soda for me is every once in a while. But in the household, I only buy her sodas once a month, and it's either a 6 pack of the little mini
Wow.
servings, or I'll get her a 12 pack of like she drinks the Coca Cola or Pepsi. So those cans will be in there. So she has 12 cans to distribute throughout the month. And
Nice.
if she finishes that packet sooner, then I'm like, girl, until next month.
Yeah.
And I just make sure to have like a bunch of water bottles stacked up because then at that point they have no option but to eat what's in there. I'm like, either eat that or eat air.
Exactly.
So the meal prep now for the nutrition part, aside from the liquids, sometimes I make her protein shakes. She's not always like too much of a fan of it, but I do provide like prepped fruits because sometimes I don't want to cut up the fruit and I'm gonna be a little lazy to peel it. So
Mhm.
I'll buy things that are already like pre-made, like a fruit bowl that's already diced up, so she can easily go into the fridge and have access to these easy foods, and it makes it more convincing to her because it's already like cut up. All she has to do is open up the container and serve it into a bowl. The meal prep, she wasn't too much of a fan of it because she's like, well, why are we having the same food every day? It's not necessarily the same food all the time, but it's like the main source of protein. Like it'll be chicken or ground turkey because I don't like to make seafood like prepping it because I know
Yeah.
it goes bad a little
Yeah.
bit faster. Um, so she'll typically have like some source of veggies. Um, for the carbs, it'll be either potatoes or rice, mainly rice, and then for the protein, ground turkey. And I think because there was a point where I had her used to us going out to eat
Mhm.
and eating out that she was like, "Ew, I'm not gonna eat that because I'm used to eating out." So it was like a habit of eating out that she was gonna do whatever she could to convince me otherwise. But I'm like, "No, girl, like this is what you're eating. Like I'm doing better with my nutrition. So do you." So I think it was a big change for her because she felt like, well, I'm young. Like I don't need to eat healthy and whatnot. But I told her, I'm like, eventually down the line, if you continue this, like as we get older, our metabolism slows down and it's just harder for us to break up certain components that we're eating. So I'm like, eventually this is going to get you.
Exactly.
And then she was like, okay, starting to be understanding. But mainly the big thing is what I would buy, where I would store it, and her knowing like, okay, this is the food that we're gonna eat, so I have no choice. And she'll try to convince me like, Mom, let's go over here, let's go over there. And I'm like, nah, girl, like we'll do that either once a week or like every 2 weeks or once a month, just to not have that habit of always going to Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that because it costs money, it costs time, energy, and sometimes it always doesn't make us feel good afterwards. It's nice during the moment because you get to go out with your kids, enjoy, like, a nice meal, but then afterwards, like, sometimes our body feels like shit. I know mine does,
Mhm.
with overconsumption of, like, fries and, a burger, stuff like that, so that's how I practice, like, a good, healthy habit with nutrition between me and my daughter.
That's really good. Something that you mentioned, because a lot of people, I've heard comments like, "Oh, my digestion, like now it's not as good as it used to be."
Mhm.
Um, and that's part of it too. Like as we get older, it slows down. And so we just gotta figure out what works with our bodies. Like for example, I was telling Valerie, I have a super sensitive gut. Like I
Mhm.
need to be careful with the things I eat because if I don't, I have chronic constipation
Yep.
and I can't go. And so, like, any, like, little change will really, like, affect my body, and I
Yeah.
mentioned to her, like, I the good thing about knowing your body and, like, what you put into it is that you know what works and what doesn't right away. I usually take Ghost protein. The
Mhm.
second that I switched proteins, that's the only thing that changed. I haven't been able to go.
Right.
So it's, like, also, like, learning your body, learning how to work with your body, learning what sits well with your body will also benefit you in the long run. So it's, like, implementing that as a child and then, like, that follows you throughout your life and, you're only gonna help yourself out. And at the end of the day, like, you do wanna avoid those types of food as much as you can.
Mhm.
Obviously, we can't avoid them all the time,
Yeah.
but we end up, it's good for our bodies. We're fueling them. So if anything, we should be hyping ourselves up and be like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, we're feeding our body like all this good stuff. Like
Right.
it's serving a purpose to our body instead of just like, junk and
Yeah, I love that. You look so beautiful, by the way.
bitch
I
stop.
don't I was like, I love how you're speaking. But you're totally right because why consume something when you know it's gonna fuck you up? Like you said, you're if you eat a certain something, you're either gonna feel constipated, and I'm sure it's an uncomfortable feeling to not be able to go for a certain amount of time, whether it's like, pain in the stomach, just overall not feeling like you're able to release things that are supposed to be going through your body because of
Yeah.
eating a certain something. So I know a big thing for you is like staying away from pizza too. So how do you balance pizza when your children want pizza?
So there's like our healthy pizza, our protein pizza. So what it is, it's a low carb tortilla, and then
I
I'll
love how you said
add
that. Tortilla.
tortilla, bitch. I'm
No,
Mexican.
you better not say tortilla.
The tortilla. So the tortilla, and then I'll add like low fat cheese, and then I'll add like the little pepperoni slices, and then obviously the little like tomato paste, and
Mhm.
I'll like throw it in the air fryer, and that's like a pizza. And then the good thing about this like pizza is that you can also add like you can boil chicken and then shred the chicken on top. So it's like you
Mhm.
can add more protein to it, and at the end of the day, like it's actually like a good meal.
Right.
And it's like a little, not it's not a little, it's like this big, like
Mhm.
an individual pizza. So that's like a swap, It's a healthy swap and
Yep.
they've accepted, like they don't question me about it. They actually like it. And I can eat it.
And it's a very good bonding moment too because you're doing an activity of cooking and
Yeah.
teaching them how to cook and prep a meal and making a healthy swap. And as you said, it's individualized, so you can make it how it works for your body. They can
Exactly.
make it to their liking, and then it's a
Personalize
win-win all
it.
around.
Yeah, and then at the end, I mean, at least for my children, I don't know how they would react to this, like if they were older, but
Mhm.
like for them and their age, like they feel proud of themselves because they made their own pizza.
Yeah,
And they can, as you said, like they can add whatever they want to it. Um, yeah. Yeah,
I
it's really
love
good.
it.
It's a good swap. Yeah, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I do have like normal pizza once in a while, but you know how that goes.
Right, it doesn't
I
feel good
can't
for you,
go.
so you're like, let me avoid those
Yeah.
things because then it's not a good feeling. So it's like you spend money, you eat it, you might enjoy it like as you're biting it down, but then once it gets down there, you're like, ah,
It ain't worth it. Mm-mm.
exactly. It really isn't. Now, now that we've talked about fitness, nutrition, I know there's a whole lot we gotta cover. Wellness. How do you incorporate like overall personal development and wellness practice within your kid? Like helping them build confidence, helping them with their self identity. Because clearly we know, like, as they're growing up and they're little kids, like, they're a little creation of us and they are
Yeah.
what we make them to be until they get to a certain point where they understand the world more. They have more flexibility and freedom to like that outside environment, meaning like school, their friends, other places that they're at, other adults that they're around, and they're just not always with mom and dad. So how do you teach them to be like to personally develop as the best version of themselves that they can be for now or to prep them for the future?
Okay, so like to use myself as an example.
Yeah.
And I don't expect for my children to not do anything that I don't do. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
It makes sense.
So yeah, like I tell them mommy's not a lazy person. So you guys
Hmm.
cannot be lazy,
Yeah.
I want them to be people of value. And everything in this life is hard.
Hmm.
And yes, they're young, but I let them be aware of that. And I feel like confidence comes through accomplishments. So I'll have little goals set with them.
Hmm.
And once they accomplish that goal, they feel proud of themselves. Therefore, they're like a little bit more confident about themselves.
Right.
If they are having a bad day, obviously I'll listen to my children and I'll give like the best advice I can give. Well, it depends on the situation.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I feel like a lot of their confidence is built through like their accomplishments. Um, yeah. How would you go about it?
I like everything that you said. I agree with you that a lot of their confidence comes through accomplishments, but I think a lot of it has to do like not only succeeding at stuff and accomplishing things, but failing at things too.
Oh,
And becoming
yeah.
aware because we don't always win in life. So if we teach our kids like you got to accomplish it or you're not going to be a person of high value. I feel like everyone in this world is a valuable person and they bring meaning to life, but there's people who they really work on themselves to become like a higher value person, whether it's
Mhm.
developing themselves through skills, um, overall like morals and values, whether it's like reading books, working out, meditating, giving back to the community, all of that stuff builds up their
Mhm.
persona that they're gonna become. No,
Sorry.
you're good. Go ahead.
You mentioned,
You interrupt me because you know a girl can talk and talk.
yeah.
Solomon's like, hell yeah, I know what she's talking about. I told her, I'm like, you gotta just shut me up sometimes because I go da da da, like on and on and on.
Not to interrupt.
No, I was like, girl, you interrupt me, please.
Failure, you are right. I completely forgot about that. So, definitely embracing failure
Yeah.
because success does come from failure most of the time. And I really like that you said that because yes, we have to we're gonna fail at everything that we do for the first time. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Or
We
not
are
at everything, but at a lot of things we
yes,
will fail in
a
life.
lot at a lot of things.
We'll have our
Yes.
fair share of successes and failures. And that's
Exactly.
what life's about.
Yeah.
Continue. Don't worry, I'm not gonna
And
go
they
on and
gotta
on.
embrace it. Yeah, like because my kids will get sad like if they can't if they don't accomplish something that they're trying to do. Yes, they're gonna be upset, and yes, they get upset. But good thing that you said that because I tell them I'm like, you know what, like it's okay. Like you're a step closer to learning. Next
Right.
time, like now you know you've come this far, and now you're gonna know what to do or what not
Right.
to do. Like you're learning. It's a learning process, and your brain is getting muscles. So that like motivates
Ooh, I
them.
like that. They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's crunching up in there.
So in the mornings, yeah, because kids be kids.
They be
And
getting mad when they don't win games.
exactly. And I'm like, but now you know more. And
Right.
it's good to fail because if you don't fail, then you're not gonna know what like how you went wrong.
Right.
So yeah, good thing that you said that because I forgot about that. Yeah.
Or sometimes it's not even about being wrong, but it's like, okay, you want to win at this? Well, you need to practice to be better. Maybe that person won because they've been
Practicing for the longest
practicing
time.
in that
Yeah.
game for a long time. And, also sportsmanship, teaching them, like, you know what, if you lose, it's okay. Like, don't go and be like super upset about it. Or it's okay for you to be upset, but you don't gotta like ruin it for the other person type of thing. So I think when they fail and they lose, it's a great opportunity for us to teach them like you lost and it's okay, but it's not the end of the world. Like you
Yeah.
if you want to win, you can do this better next time or practice on this to then win the game.
Yeah, it doesn't make you any less than, your other teammate. It just means, you got to practice more and there's nothing wrong with that. At the
Yep.
end of the day, if you keep practicing, 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 you're only going to become better.
Right. That is so true.
You got to put in the work. That's what life is about.
Yep. And I love that you teach them too at a young age. Like,
Nicely. Yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna like be hard, but no, you're right. At that age, I feel like as we are coming from two different perspectives, like younger children to me having like an adolescent going into young adulthood, the age appropriateness of our approach is gonna come so freaking different.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna have like more of like the, sweet mommy talk versus me. I'm like, I know that shit ain't gonna work for me. Like, I gotta keep it real with my daughter,
Yeah.
which you do keep it real as well, but you're just coming at it more like a sweeter age
Like
yeah, more like
babyish.
that
Yeah.
baby voice where my daughter would look at me like, "What the hell's wrong with you?" You know?
The
Exactly.
stink face.
Yeah, seriously. I'm like, "That worked once upon a time, but not now." Um, with that being said, are there any wellness practices that you have them do? And it doesn't have to be on on a daily basis, but every once in a while on a daily basis or at random times, do you ever have them practice like a certain something like coloring, journaling, meditating, like things that we do as adults to help us with our mental strength or just dealing with overall life stress? Is there anything that you incorporate with them or that you plan to do?
Mateo used to be very into like meditating.
That's right.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So my eldest, he used to meditate, but
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't do that anymore. Now I guess what he's really into is more like he creates little stories, like little horror stories.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Uh-huh.
He directed his own horror movie in
His
school.
at the tender age of 5.
Mm.
And so Aaliyah, she loves coloring. So she'll get lost in coloring. So I would say that's like their form of um like what's like
Wellness.
wellness.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like that would be their form of wellness right now. They're too young to journal, so I wouldn't really say journaling for
Right.
them. It is for me journaling, but for them it's like coloring, yeah, and then Mateo creating his stories.
I love that. That's super awesome. For Brianna, her forms of wellness are once again by force. By in her eyes, like Mother Dearest, because I'll have like, so for her, when she gets home from school, she has her to-do list. Girl,
Oh yeah, the
you
dread
saw it.
list, yeah.
The dread list. Don't call it that shit. I'm like, because there was a point where she has a phone. I text her to-do list. I write down her to-do list, and for whatever reason, shit gets lost in the long lost abyss of technology. So I was like, you know what? When you walk in through that house, the first thing you're gonna see is your freaking to-do list plastered on the wall with that
We see
nice
it
little
all.
glitter. You saw it every time you walk in. You're like, oh gosh.
I'm like, damn.
And I have it there with the expo marker. I'm like, every day, girl, fresh start.
That's smart though.
Yeah, because then I'm like, you have no excuse at this
Mhm.
point. You're either being lazy, you choose not to do it, and guess what, girl? There are gonna be consequences.
Yeah.
So having that to-do list up there for her includes things like basic stuff that she should know, like homework, but it's just like another reminder, like you have to do homework, but it's on this list, and just know I'm going to check it at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Wellness practice. She has yet to develop her own wellness practices, which is why I say these are by force because I commit to 2 minutes a day with her. The most would be 15 minutes just because I know sometimes we do our own thing and it's a daily thing for us. Like we have enjoyment in it. But when we force our kids to do it and they don't enjoy it, I don't want her to like eventually hate it. But I'm like, as long as I do it for a little bit and once again, if she hates it, oh well. It's just for like a moment.
Mhm.
And maybe one day later on in life when she's feeling stressed out, she'll do these mindful moments. So as you know, on our Apple Watch, there is a mindfulness section. In that mindfulness section, it has 1 minute activities. I'm like, she could hang for 1 minute of her day to do this with me. So I'll tell her on the to-do list, it says 2-minute mindful moment with mom.
Mhm.
So then I'll give her the opportunity, like a time frame, like we can do it between this time, like what time, so that she can know, like at this time, I have this appointment with my mom to have a mindful moment. And it always varies, just depending on how my day goes too and hers. What we do is we'll sit on the couch. I'll put on the 1 minute breath work, and we're literally sitting there, and I'm like, come to a pause. And she's looking at me like, oh, I'm like, come to a pause. And for 1 minute, we're going to focus on our breath. And clearly, I'm tracking it here, and it vibrates when we're done.
Yeah.
So we'll be sitting there on the couch in a comfortable position. I'm like, sit down, lay down. And she's there like, oh my gosh. And we're just breathing for 1 minute. The next one would be a reflection activity. So as you know, on the mindful moment in the Apple Watch, it brings up a prompt for you. So that prompt always differs. So based off of the prompt, we'll reflect on that for 1 minute. Another thing I do with her that I do consider a mindful moment in like a wellness development practice is reading. Now, I know she doesn't really like to read, but I absolutely love reading. And
Yeah.
the books that I read are either personal development, self care, or business books. Clearly, I don't give her the business books because that'll be a whole other thing. But I will read with her. Like I recently bought her a book that's called Life Skills for Teenage Girls.
Mm.
Because she does not enjoy reading, I read with her. So we'll use that same book and we'll read for 10 minutes. I'll read one page, she'll read the next page. Clearly, all these activities are by force because I know that it's going to instill some sort of like personal development skill within her, whether she likes it or not. And then later on in life, as she gets older, she can choose to like reflect back on those moments and think she's having a bad day. Like, fuck, let me just go sit down and do some breathing for a bit, or let me go open up a journal. She does not journal, but I do provide that for her and she knows like it's there. And I'll tell her the purpose of it. Like, write in it, like to let your feelings out, which she has sometimes. I ain't gonna lie. When she uses it? When she's mad at me.
Oh
I
gosh.
found a few letters and I was like, oh my gosh, that hurt my heart. But I'm like, nah, it's all good because as parents, we can't come from a place of emotion sometimes because it will get the best of us. Like
Yeah.
when she'll say some shit about me, I'm like, it's not because she really means that. Like maybe she does in the moment, but she's mad that shit didn't go her way.
Mhm.
And mom's like the worst because she didn't get her way and didn't do what she wants. And their way is not always the best way or the right way.
Exactly.
So that's how I
No.
incorporate wellness, personal development, and wellness in her life.
I like how you said that. You would consider reading wellness.
Because not everyone does. Like, I feel like reading can sometimes be a task or a chore to people who are in school because they have to read a book to do homework. Even college, even as adults, when we go into work, we have to read certain
Yeah.
emails, books, training manuals because we have to. So I know for me, reading is definitely like a mindful moment, and I'll sit for like 5 to
Because
10
you
minutes
enjoy it.
because I enjoy it.
You see, like reading, we'll read, but to me, it's a task.
Mm. But you're trying to develop that as like a
Yes.
wellness
Yes.
practice for you, and you've been doing good lately.
I'm trying.
And if you don't like it, then eventually you're gonna be like, you know what, this isn't for me, and you're gonna find something else because, as you said, it's not for
But
everyone.
it's not, but it's super important, and we can't say it's
Why do you think
not.
it's important? I want to
Because
know
it
from your perspective.
expands our vocab
Hmm.
for sure.
That's true.
The universe knows I need that.
No, I feel like your vocabulary is well. I think it's just, but it really does, and that's when I've told you. Like I've had a lot of people say, like you're very well spoken. I was like,
Yes.
don't worry, I got the hood in me still, but I am very well spoken, and I feel like it all started in college because I had to read certain books. But then I've always loved reading. My passion for reading started in third grade when I got a set of Harry Potter books from my
Mhm.
teacher. And from there, I just loved reading. And because you read those books, it takes you to a whole other fucking world. I
Yeah.
swear, I feel like I'm on a vacation. Like I'm in Hogwarts
I
right
agree
now,
with you.
flying in the broom and shit.
I agree with you because when I was younger, I used to read a lot too.
Mhm.
And then I don't know, like as I got older, like I just kind of like completely stopped reading. And so now I want to get that back. And I'm like, okay, like first, it's gonna better my vocab, and then on top of that, it is good for the mind too.
Right.
And so I'll see that as a task. So since I see it as a task for myself, I'll also see it as a task for the kids because they don't like reading. But since if as how you said, like if I start them off now, it's gonna benefit them down the road.
It will.
So I see that as a task for us. But it's good that I love how like it can also be like a wellness thing.
And
I
it's
can see
okay
it.
for it to be a task too, but I'm like, that's how, like, I have my wellness practices. Either I meditate, I journal, or I'm going to sit down and read a book. Now, I know you're going to love this one. Let's talk about how we can develop, and I know we're already doing this, but how moms out there can help develop finance and credit usage understanding to children.
So
Because it's something we need as adults, and I know we didn't get that at a young age. I wish someone taught me about finances and credit because I would have been in a whole other fucking place by now, you know?
yeah. Oh yes, I agree with you. I grew up without no knowledge on credit,
Mhm.
like whatsoever,
Same,
nothing,
same.
nothing. And the first time I got, my first credit card was at a jewelry store. Well, not even credit card, but like the first time I had like credit.
Yeah.
It was at a jewelry store. I didn't know how it worked. All I saw, I was like, oh, cool, I got money. So then I got whatever I wanted to get. I didn't pay it, and my credit took a huge, huge hit. Of course, as time went on, I started to learn about it. I was like, oh my goodness, like I've made a mistake. So
Mhm.
it took me years for me to repair that one incident when I first opened up my credit. So I explain credit as trust to the kids because they're little.
Right.
So
Yeah, share with us how you incorporate the financial and credit with your kids.
so how I go about it with them is whenever I do get something on credit, I'll tell them like, "Oh, look, mommy got this on credit." I'm like, "What
Mhm.
credit is? It's like borrowed money."
Yep.
And then I tell them that it's like mainly based off like trust. So I tell them you trust mommy, right? And they'll
Right.
be like, "Oh, yes." And I'm like, "Okay. So what if mommy did something bad? Like you're going to lose that trust, right?" And they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, yes." I'm like, "It's probably going to take years for you to for me to gain your trust back, right?"
Mhm.
And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's exactly how credit works." I'm like, "You are trusted with this money. Now you are held responsible to pay it like on time,
Right.
shit like
In full,
before
preferably.
in full, on time. Better if it's before the due date. It makes you look better." I'm like, "That's how it is." I'm like,
Right.
"And if you don't pay, I'm like, that trust is broken and it's gonna take you years to repair it."
Yep.
I'm like, "And it's gonna suck when you're a big person because there's a house. You're gonna want to buy a house.
A
You're
car,
gonna buy a car,
an apartment,
an apartment, everything,
gifts for your loved ones. You
bitch,
got to get that shit on
everything."
credit. You
So
got to.
I tell them, I'm like, credit is super important because like your whole adult life, like you are gonna depend on it. And I'm not gonna say unfortunately, but there is people that sometimes if your credit is not that good, like you will need a cosigner.
Right.
And it is so hard and so rare to find a person that will cosign for you.
That is true.
And I don't want my children. I was in that situation for I've always had everything I have is because of myself.
Right. And I'm
And
proud of you.
bitch, thank you.
Of course.
And so I don't want my children to go through that, and I want them to, handle it and not have to like depend on anybody to get what they need or what they want,
Yep.
you know? So that's how I explain it. How do you explain it?
Okay, so you explained the credit part. I know your children have like their cute little like
Oh,
piggy
their
bank savings. So how do you teach them with?
finances.
I know it's much harder with um children your
Yes,
age, but I know you do incorporate that with them, like
I
by
do.
teaching them the credit. Have you talked to them about the benefits of credit? Well, you did say like it teaches them like that
Yeah,
they have an
like
advantage
the
later on.
importance of money.
Yeah, the importance of money
And
too.
saving. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So my kids do have their own bank accounts, like their own bank account, and they have like their savings account. They can
Right.
access this money, but I'd rather them not
Right.
access it.
They don't need that money right now.
Bitch,
They're
but
too
they be trying
little.
to buy shit with their own cards. And I tell them, no, 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 like it's okay. Like we got what you need. Like just save your money.
Yeah.
Bitch, Aaliyah took the money you gave her.
I know.
And she put it straight into her piggy bank. So when they accumulate enough money in their piggy banks will like transfer it to the bank, they
Yeah.
go and like it's an experience for them. And Mateo is the one I'm struggling with.
How are you struggling with him with the finances
He does
part?
not like to save. He doesn't like to save. Like he has his money and he wants to use it. And I told him like you cannot. Like I'd rather you save your money. Later on you can buy a car when you're older. Like
Mhm.
trying to make it exciting for
He's like,
him.
"No, I want candy."
Yeah, exactly. He's like, no, I want this toy. I'm like, no, you cannot have the toy. So I'm struggling a little bit with him, but like
Which is okay because he's still little,
he's
but at least
still a
you're like incorporating
child.
that.
But yeah, I really do tell them like the importance of saving and growing up and like having a nice stable job. And if it's not a job, like doing something that they a skill they can develop or something to make that money and then have their savings account because it's
Right.
super important. God forbid, I tell them I'm like it's super important to have money saved because in case of an emergency, who's gonna help you?
Right.
Like mommy can help, I can help, but
But you want them to be self-sufficient. Right.
exactly, and I can only help them so much and for so long because when I die, who's gonna help them?
Right.
So yeah, they maybe as the years have gone on, I've just explained the importance of money to them, and yeah, Aaliyah got she got it, but Mateo,
Right. Yeah, when you told me that she got that money and put it in her piggy bank, I'm like, "Yes, Aaliyah." And I mean, it's okay for Mateo to be like that too because eventually he's gonna learn. Like, if
oh
he spends
yeah,
money and he sees his sister, like, balling in savings, he'll be like, "Damn, I wanna be like that." And he's gonna figure out, "Well, what do I gotta do to be like that?"
and he's
So
still
you
a
got this. Yeah,
child, but
they're
yeah,
still
it's
kids.
super important to really discuss that with your children because
I agree.
we all get older and life is hard, and I wish. I mean, there's nothing wrong with my upbringing, but like it would have been nice to know this kind of stuff.
Of course, you're right. I feel like it would have, given us an advantage and learn at a younger age because then you'll make better choices. I know I would have. Just like you said, I didn't come from a upbringing of talking about finances and
Mhm.
credit, and that's something they don't teach in school. It's like either you're gonna be taught by it by your family members or because you're gonna figure it out on
The
your own, and
hard
that's what we
way.
did. We
Mhm.
figured it out on our own because we realized, well, we want a car, we want this, we want that. So how do we get it if we don't have the full money to cover a certain something, but we have like, a down payment, whatever? Well, credit and loans are going to be what help you get through it. So the way I help Brianna is, first of all, I haven't been able to do this yet. I was going to do it last year,
Mhm.
but I know a good thing is with our credit cards, we can put them as authorized users
Yes.
and have our credit benefit them and build up their credit. So I wasn't able to do it because my credit card company told me she needed to be 15. So she knows this year for her birthday, she's getting a credit card.
Oh,
hmm
how
Yeah, so that's exciting.
fun!
Girl, she got a $50 limit every month. That's it for
No, that's
now.
just fine. But
And
that's exciting for her. How
it
does she
is.
feel about it?
She's really excited because she feels like she's big ballin'.
Oh, pinch
And
out, man.
seriously, I'm like, "Okay,
I got a
girl."
credit card.
Yeah. But I was like, "You know what? You have to learn how to manage this money. Like, you're not gonna go over $50 in some sense. Like,
Oh
you have to
no.
stay at 50 bucks, whether it's online purchases." I'm like, "You wanna go spend it on junk food with your friends, whatever? Like, that's on you." And I think that's gonna help her realize what she needs to spend her money on and how she wants to spend her money.
Yeah.
Um Another form is she has her little piggy bank too, but we only put coins in there because I feel like the dollars are just harder to get out because it's not a
Yeah.
real piggy bank. It's a big like water jug.
Oh,
Literally, we've been filling that up for like 2 years. So all the time I'm the one who puts the coins in there. So I told her, I'm like, because I don't see you putting in the work to collect like whenever I see coins, I think of her, and even if it's a penny on the floor, I'm like, that's 1 cent closer to
it
you
adds
having more
up.
money.
Yeah.
So I told her, I'm like, because I don't see you putting in the effort and most of those coins are mine, I'm taking 10% of your money when it gets to the top.
I
She was
mean,
not happy with that.
whatever's fair.
And she's like, but why are you doing this? I'm like, because I'm like, she already has her savings. She already is already going to have her credit card. But I'm like, now you have the opportunity to, whenever you see a coin, like we'll be out too, and I'll see a coin on the floor. And I'm like, let me see. She picks it up. Nope. And I'm like, oh, hold on. And she'll see me pick it up. And she's like, why are you getting that? I'm like, oh, for your piggy bank. Like, it's a little something extra to add.
Mhm.
And then I had told her, because you're not putting in the work, like all you have to do is pick up a coin and put it in the jar. I'm gonna take a cut of this money because most of it's all mine, but it's your jar. But I'm helping invest in you developing this habit of saving, even if it's just coins.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I do that. Also when I do, as you know, when we do our finances. So when I do my finances, every like pay period or when I know I have bills coming up, I'll write everything down just because I'm such a visual person. So I'll write it down and I'll have her next to me showing like, this is how much I have saved. This is my spending money. This is what I need to pay. And bills are always going to get paid first because, like we've had our fair share in the past where we didn't, pay certain things and it really messes up our credit, and just having to catch up and shit is not a fun thing.
Mm-mm.
And eventually, if you want to have that financial freedom, you want to be able to develop these life habits. So that's how I incorporate that with her.
You taking that percentage from her is a lesson itself.
Yeah, because I'm like, if you would have put the money in there yourself, you would have had all the money for you. Or
Exactly.
if you would have not even yourself, but if you would have taken the initiative to try to pick up a coin or put coins in there, the money would be all yours. But because you're not
Exactly.
trying, I'm going to take a cut.
No, yeah. I mean, it's only fair,
Mhm.
and life. That's how life is.
You're
That's how
right.
it is.
And now that we are coming to the end of the show almost, is there any advice, whatever realm you want to cover, to moms out there, whether it's like information like for themselves? Because, as moms too, we need to practice like our own healthy lifestyle so that we can, be like all good there to then fill up our kids' life. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of our kids so good. So, do you want to provide any advice in regards to like mom wellness or any other parenting tips or mom tips that you want to provide to the audience before we wrap it up here?
I would advise for moms to prioritize your mental health. That is very
Hell yeah.
important. Whether it's by journaling, listening to podcasts, whatever it is, make that priority. For some people, they go straight into working out. Whatever it is, focus on your mental health, because if you are not right, all those around you are not going to be right. Especially because, at least I can speak for us both,
Right.
everybody, like, not that everybody, but we have a lot of people that depend on us.
Yeah.
And if we are not there, shit is not gonna get done.
Right.
And everybody's gonna get screwed. So
And they're just not going to get the best of us, you know. And
yeah,
we want to be able to fill up ourselves before we pour into others because it does get draining.
exactly. It really does. So yeah, just focus on your mental health. That's all I can say. Whether it's like 20 to 30 minutes a day, you really don't need a lot. Just find a time and just make it about you, whatever makes you feel at peace.
Well, freaking said, I love that you're letting them know to make time for themselves and to invest in whatever it is that is going to bring them mental clarity because there's no one way works for all. It's like you
No.
figure out what's going to
Mhm.
bring you like that peace, um, so that you can continue like being that strong person and showing up for yourself and your loved ones. And the final advice that I would give for moms out there or any parent is to enjoy the parenting journey and to know that it is the fucking hardest job on the planet. Because everything else you can learn, there's a lot of wrong ways to be a parent, but there are no right ways because every parent comes from a different background. Every child
It's
is a different
different.
persona, has a different personality. So just embrace like every single moment of it. And another reason to embrace the moment is because they grow up and they leave
That's
from us
it.
fast.
Yeah.
And I know I'm like going through that phase because my daughter is going to be 15. So I tell myself when she turns 18, if she wants to leave, she's going to leave, whether she goes to college, whether she moves out with friends, like she has the freedom to go and leave. I'm,
Stop.
I'm just kidding. So she has the freedom to leave. So I'm like, all I can do right now as a parent is spend as much time with her right now, make so many fucking memories, and overall, like, instill and enforce good, healthy life habits, practices, and values so that when she goes off into the world, like, she is more prepared. And we know they're going to make mistakes.
Mhm.
And all we can do is really teach them as much as we can and be there for them when they need us.
Exactly. That way they know what to expect, and because
Or
if
sometimes they don't
they
even know what to expect, but at least they'll
have an idea of it.
have an idea of it. And when
And
they are put in situations, they can go back to those practices that we've taught them
exactly.
or
Yeah.
remember those teachings that mom said or dad.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, thank you so much for being here, bitch. I was such an awesome episode. I definitely want to have you back. It was so fun doing this with you. Everyone, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel below. Leave any information that you want to share with us. It's always such a pleasure to be here with you all. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and that you found some value. So, with that being said, have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.